So a few weeks ago I was in North Dakota, standing witness to what is happening now at Standing Rock. The call for clergy to come in support of the people of Standing Rock as they struggle to protect the water and the land came several days after I chose the topic of today's talk. But the real topic is sacred activism. And it's exactly what is happening right now in North Dakota and Iowa. And I was blessed to bear witness and stand in support of this struggle. I was fortunate to be able to make this trip. A lot of people I know who would like to go but can't work. I actually have work that says, go. It's important for those who can make it up there, because it is as much our struggle. It is that of the native people of this land. The native people who've all come together in one place. Native peoples from all over the world that come together to one place. This is all of our struggle, because we are native to this land too. Unless you're not from Earth. But we're native here too. We forget that. It's important that we all know what's going on there and how we can support that effort in our own place here. This isn't the best forum to explore the long history of this particular struggle, though I encourage you to do just that, to learn more about the history. The land there's been somebody camping out there since April. The struggle is not new. It's been going on for some time. And it didn't just spring up. There are legal and many reasons why it's happening now. So I encourage you to learn more about where it's all coming from. But it's also important that we recognize that this struggle, this battle, is but an extension of a much older struggle, one that goes back to the Doctrine of Discovery that was used to justify the genocide of native people, the enslavement of Africans, and the destruction of our ecosystem. Started in 1455 with Pope Nicholas V. He extended to Spain, he expanded to the papal bull that gave Portugal the legal right to conquer lands in West Africa. The church, listen to that, the church gave a country legal right to conquer lands and conquer people. And then Pope Alexander VI extended to Spain the right to conquer lands of the Western Hemisphere in 1493, after Christopher Columbus had already begun doing so. Now this is what made it all legal. I want to read part of this Doctrine of Discovery. This was read by Spanish explorers or Portuguese. It was read in both Latin and their native tongue. And according to the doctrine, it made everything they did both legal and moral. So here's part what they said to the indigenous people, who of course did not speak Spanish, Portuguese, or Latin. So they said, if you do not accept our rule and maliciously make delay in it, I certify to you that with the help of God we shall powerfully enter into your country, and shall make war against you in all ways and manners that we can, and shall subject you to the yoke and obedience of the church and of their highnesses. We shall take you and your wives and your children, and shall make slaves of them, and as such shall sell and dispose of them as their highnesses may command. And we shall take away your goods, and shall do you all the mischief and damage that we can, as to vassals who do not obey and refuse to receive their Lord, and resist and contradict him. And we protest, this is the good part, and we protest that the deaths and losses which shall accrue from this are your fault, and not that of their highnesses or ours, nor of these cavaliers who come with us. That's right. It wasn't the natives' fault. I mean, it wasn't the conqueror's fault. It was the natives for not, obeying. England, other European countries, of course, provided similar charters to all lands not claimed by Spain and Portugal. Now, it may be tempting to argue that all this happened a long time ago. That, okay, that's the past, we've changed. Well, the fact of the matter is, the Doctrine of Discovery serves as the legal foundation for all federal Indian laws. And according to Steve Newcomb, in 500 Years of Injustice, the legacy of 15th century religious prejudice, he writes, writing for the unanimous court, Chief Justice John Marshall observed that Christian European nations had assumed ultimate dominion over the lands of America during the Age of Discovery, and that upon discovery, the Indians had lost their rights to complete sovereignty and as independent nations, and only retained a right of occupancy in their land. In other words, Indian nations were subject to the ultimate authority of the first nation of Christendom to claim possession of a given religion, a given region of Indian lands. Now, the end result was a reduction of the indigenous population from an estimated 12 to 20 million at the time of European contact to just 237,196 persons in 1900. No other genocide even comes close to producing such losses. And there's nothing we can do to bring their lives back. We cannot change history. But unlike many regrettable decisions of the past, this decision has never been overturned and was referred to in legal decisions as recently as 2010. This is the precedent still used in courts today. It's not in the past. At the 2012 General Assembly in Phoenix, Arizona, delegates of the Unitarian Universalist Association passed a resolution repudiating the Doctrine of Discovery and calling on Unitarian Universalists to study it and eliminate its presence from the current day policies, programs, theologies, and structures of Unitarian Universalism. Now, I'm reminding you of this history because it speaks to a very important part of what happened when I was in Standing Rock. Leaders from those religious denominations who, like ours, have renounced the Doctrine of Discovery read a statement to that effect. We read it to the elders of the Oseti Sakowin camp. And then the elders were given a copy of the Doctrine of Discovery written in the original Latin, and they were invited to burn the document in what was an incredibly powerful ceremony. A ceremony around the sacred fire of the camp. I'm very proud that the president of Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, Peter Morales, was there to read a statement that we can count ourselves among the limited number of religious groups that have made such a repudiation of the doctrine. Not everyone there could say the same thing. Now, following the ceremony around the sacred fire, the over 500 gathered clergy, when the organizer made the initial call for clergy, he was hoping maybe 100 would show up. Over 500 clergy from all denominations, many different religious traditions showed up in what was a very short notice. And as we left the circle, we were each smudged as we made our way to the front lines of the conflict. Well, actually, we were smudged twice. First, as we left the fire, and a second time as we left the camp. Everybody who leaves camp for this reason is smudged in recognition of the sacredness of this action. Most of you know I don't normally wear stole and collar. But I wear it today in remembrance. We were invited to come. We were encouraged to be dressed as clergy. Fortunately, I had to wash it because the smell of sage was there for several days. I want you to imagine 500 clergy. The Episcopal and Catholic priests wore full church vestments. Ministers from every tradition wearing robes and stoles. Buddhist priests, Jewish rabbis, Celtic druids, Hindu swamis. All wearing the signs and symbols of their traditions. And of course, yellow standing on the side of love shirts and signs were there in full numbers. Because 500 was only the clergy. There were many others there as well. Though we are one of the smallest denominations, our group there was one of the largest. That should be no surprise, I hope. As we snaked our way out of the camp in single file, fully smudged, fully aware of what we were heading towards. We were fully aware because it was impossible to ignore the helicopters and drones circling over our heads. It was clear we had the attention of law enforcement that remained on the far side of the bridge that we were heading to. They were behind burnt-out cars. They were behind several military-style vehicles. And they were watching us from above. These 500 clergy, single file. Our motto for the action was simple. Peaceful, prayerful, lawful, nonviolent witness. Peaceful, prayerful, lawful, nonviolent witness. It was driven into our heads at the training the night before. We were there to bear witness. We were not there to confront law enforcement or the contractors. We weren't there to get arrested. We were there to bear witness. We were there to pray for peace and forgiveness. We were there only for a day or two. We all had places to go home to. And we were very aware of the fact that those who live there on the front lines must bear the consequences of any action we made that was not peaceful, prayerful, lawful, or nonviolent. And we prayed. We prayed Christian prayers, Jewish prayers, Buddhist prayers, and Hindu prayers. The names of gods from Aboriginal cultures and around the world were invoked, and there was even a humanist prayer. I swear to you. We sang songs, also from many traditions and in many languages. For those of us there, Standing Rock, North Dakota was the center of the world. It was the center of the universe on that day. Oh, sure, life went on at home and around the world, and perhaps it wasn't even noticed by others, but the world shifted on its axis that day. I felt it. Many of us there felt it. In one of the prayers, it mentioned that the best prayer we can offer the world, the best gift we can give to one another is self-transformation. I go, there it is. There it is. But what is self-transformation? What do we mean by that? It means simply this. It means waking up to our fullest potential as human beings, waking up to the full glory and majesty of the interdependent web of life. Yes, the glory and majesty of the interdependent web of life. Let's stop talking about it like it was some science project. Transformation means waking up and living life in unity with creation. Our event was transformative. The job of religious community, I believe, is transformation. In his book, The Hope, A Guide to Sacred Activism, Andrew Harvey writes, "What we are being asked to do is not to fix the existing system, but to radically transform it so we no longer, by our choices, threaten our lives and the lives of millions of species, and we can only do this by radically transforming ourselves." This may sound like some big monumental task. It may seem like a lot of work. It may seem like it's too much responsibility for us to bear. It's not. I feel what many of you are feeling about the events of this week. What we're being asked to do is not to go out and fix that system here, but to look inward. To see how we can transform ourselves, and in the process, by the choices we make, then change the world. We're lucky. It's not that complex. It's just a three-step path. 3 steps. Simple 3-step path. So the first step, accept the universe as it is, not how we would like it, and expand our circle of moral concern, the breadth of one ripple. If we were like the universe, we would not judge, we would accept everything as it is. We would not have preferences or desires that create expectations, the ultimate cause of suffering. We would not have specific goals except the natural unfolding of our lives and through them the entire web of life. What would that look like? The tendency to judge, to make assumptions about people by the way they look, the clothes they wear, the color of their skin, the way they speak, the bumper sticker on their car. To judge is natural and normal. It's what we do. The tendency had survival benefits at a point in our evolution. Being able to assess a stranger or a situation in a heartbeat could have meant the difference between life and death. It's an evolutionary trigger for us, the desire to judge. Safe, not safe. Like me, not like me. Predator, prey. That being said, that it is a natural tendency. Well, today that same tendency serves only to divide and distance us from one another. And learning to change that could mean a difference between life and death. That's part of the transformation. Learning to get out of that place of judgment where we judge everyone. Because that is what's killing us. So that's the first step. Step 2. Let go. Let go. Carolyn Mace writes, to truly be of service, you must never judge what life asks you to do. Rather, see the sacred in all things and in the smallest detail of your life. Many of the clergy who attended Standing Rock were there to face arrest. We were prepared to be maced. We were prepared to be brave and noble warriors for this struggle. But we needed to let go of that expectation. That is not what the people of Standing Rock needed from us. They needed our peaceful, prayerful, lawful, nonviolent witness, and to take that message home. Tell others. I invite you to let go of any idea that you might have that this is difficult, that this is beyond the scope of your body or your mind or your spirit. Let go of all expectations of what it means to be a sacred activist, to be a Unitarian Universalist, and simply act from where you are and who you are and what you can do. Let go of any idea that this is some monumental thing and see in all things, in the smallest details of your life, the sacred. Choosing to walk, ride a bike, instead of driving someplace, that's a sacred act. Perhaps to you, maybe going vegan like myself, that is a sacred act. Buying organic food is a sacred act. Divesting from those banks and from the oil companies who are profiting from the destruction of the planet, that is a sacred act. Think small. Let go of the idea that there's some big conspiracy out there, that it's all against us, and just start doing the little things. That's step 2. Let go. Let go. The third step, seek wisdom. Easier said than done, right? And wisdom is like one of those things, it's like love. It's hard to define, but we know it when we find it. And with that being said, we can identify certain qualities that are included in people we might call wise. Some of their qualities. Things like emotional resilience, sound judgment, clear moral reasoning, compassion, humility, generosity, patience, and being comfortable with uncertainty. So if you're not sure what it means to seek wisdom, then seek those qualities we associate with it. Build those qualities in yourself. I'm going to tell you a little secret. You might not like this word, but what I'm just describing is spirituality. That is spirituality. Seeking those qualities we call wise. In spiritual practice like meditation, prayer, worship, feeding the homeless, fighting social justice, these things help us develop those qualities we associate with wisdom. So there it is, a 3-step path. Acceptance. Accept life, people, the situation as it is, and work forward from there. Let go of our expectations of ourselves and the world, and seek wisdom. Seek those qualities that we call wise. This is the hope of the future. There is no golden goose, no Messiah, no magic pill that is going to come along and save us and this planet from ourselves. The responsibility to change the future is in our hands. It's in our hearts. And that's why I have hope. This is what hope looks like. It is praying and singing and breaking bread together. Hope is praying for those who stand against you as much as you pray for those on your own side, for your own well-being. Because that was what was going on. We were praying not just for ourselves and for the people who were standing up. We were praying for those police officers and those military officers on the other side of the bridge. Hope is coming together in acceptance of our differences, letting go of our expectations and seeking the wisdom of the ages, the wisdom of nature and of life and of love. This is what we're doing here. This is hope. I want to remind you what Andrew Harvey said. What we are being asked to do is not to fix the existing system, but to radically transform it so we no longer, by our choices, threaten our lives and the lives of millions of species. And we can only do this by radically transforming ourselves. If the system could be fixed from the inside, through protest, if it can be fixed from our current level of consciousness, our current level of wisdom, then it wouldn't need fixing. It is our current level of consciousness that brought us to the point where non-violent water protectors are forcibly and violently attacked and arrested by law enforcement while armed and violent gunmen are acquitted. Think about that. Harvey points out that there may be truth in the savage denunciation of corrupt corporations, politicians, and the media in bed with what Robert Kennedy called systems of cold evil that want to keep exploiting the earth. But this response has two main disadvantages in practical affairs. The excitement of projecting our own unacknowledged darkness onto others keeps us from seeing just how implicated we are. Advocating for any cause in this spirit virtually ensures our efforts will increase resistance rather than heal. In nearly every case, such condemnations only reinforces the behavior it is trying to end. Those darn corporations. Where's my phone? Oh yeah. I'm supporting that. Those darn politicians. Oh yeah, we elected them. This does not mean we are to blame for all the problems of the world. It means only that if we truly wish to see change, then we must take responsibility for making that change happen. This is what hope looks like for me. What hope looks like for me now. There's women and men of faith and children taking the shape of a sacred hoop, not around a flowering tree, but a burnt-out vehicle. We are overlooking a tributary of the Missouri River. We do this while drones and helicopters circle overhead. Off to the left, out of the picture, on the other side of the bridge, the militarized police force. This is what hope looks like. This is the sacred hoop of all people, standing in witness all saying, Mini Wakoni, water is life. And we do it not just for ourselves, we do it as much for those police officers, as much for our children and grandchildren, that we seek to be the change we want to see in the world. That is sacred activism. That is Unitarian Universalism taken to the next level. I hope you'll go there with me. So be it. Amen. Blessed be.